What men want. I've been wondering about that since birth. Starring Taraji P. Henson, Tracy Morgan, and Aldis Hodge. It is a gender swap slash reimagining slash remake of the 2000 Nancy Meyers movie What Women Want, starring Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. And Taraji leads an all-star cast including Wendy McLevin-Covey, Josh Brenner, Pete Davidson, Shaquille O'Neal, friggin' Mark Cuban, Tamala Jones, and Schmitty, aka Max Greenfield, to name just a few. So Allie Davis, played by Taraji P. Henson, is a high-powered sports agent that represents athletes. She's a woman in a very testosterone-fueled world, and she basically works with a bunch of Neanderthals. She has to be super aggressive and kind of a bitch to navigate this world with a bunch of dudes who, in all honesty, aren't written that well. They're just a bunch of douches. It's a frat house. So she's not included in the boys club. She's pissed off about that, and she's never invited to poker night. But the straw that breaks the camel's back is when she's passed up on a promotion that she well deserves. In her frustration to find out what the hell men want, get in line, girl, she ends up drinking this funny, weird voodoo mama magic concoction thing that gives her the ability to read men's thoughts in their minds. And so the games begin. What I didn't like about it was, one, there was a point where the lead character, this Taraji P. Henson character, makes such a dumb decision. Like, it's completely nonsensical for a character that smart, that's gotten this far in life, to make a decision that's first of all not believable at all. I don't want to give it away, but I'll give you a gist of it. When she doesn't get the promotion, she tries to get in her boss and her peers' good books by lying that she's married to her side dish and that she has a kid. And it's like, you've been working with these people for many years now, I believe. Wouldn't they have noticed you getting married or you having a kid? Really? The second thing I didn't like was the predictability. And guys, I'm a big rom-com person. I've been watching rom-coms before, like, my lady balls dropped. They're all the same thing, they just executed differently. But this one was one of the more predictable movies I've seen in a long time. I mean, I could predict literally everything she was gonna say, down to the dialogue, down to what she was gonna think, down to, oh, he's gonna say this, she's gonna say that, oh, she's not gonna do this. It was so predictable, and usually I don't have a problem with it because I'm a sucker for these kind of movies, but it was a little disappointing. The third thing I didn't like was it was a little bit too easy for her. The stakes were definitely not high enough. She messed up, she rectified it, and that was kind of it. And it was just too easy to solve all of the issues that she had in the movies, which weren't that big to begin with. That was a little anticlimactic. The fourth thing I didn't like is a particular scene that was so over the top. You know me, I'm a clown, I'm silly, I don't take myself too serious, I don't take things too serious for the most part. But this was cringeworthy. I remember sitting in the cinema like, oh God, don't do this, William Packer, or whoever wrote the script, don't do it! And they did it. It's no bueno. Last reason why I didn't like it is they could have just done more. It's such a good and ingenious idea. There's so much more they could have done with it. There's so many ways that they could have written it creatively and made it a bit more interesting than the original movie, What Women Want, which in comparison to this is a superior movie. Even though it was predictable too, it was a little bit more classier in its execution, and it had this kind of 30s Hollywood classic, Singing in the Rain, what's his name? Cary Grant kind of feel to it. I always feel that it would have been great in black and white. First thing that I really liked was the supporting performances, especially by Tracy Morgan and Erykah Badu. Tracy Morgan plays the father of one of a potential client that Vivica is trying to score, and I liked him because he had some moments of sincerity, moments that I think maybe went over a lot of other people's heads, but I always notice little nuances like that. There was a scene where Taraji and himself were talking about his son. He wants to make sure that Taraji looks out for his son, for the heart of him and not just for the money. There's a moment that Tracy feels understood by her. I think she reads his mind or tells him something that's really profound to his situation. And he gives her a look that was so sincere and so heartfelt. And he wasn't saying anything, it was just a look. And I live for little moments of sincerity like that, where you feel like the actor isn't acting, where he's just living. And Erykah Badu, yes, honey, she was everything. I would actually even say she was the best part of the movie. She stole every motherfucking scene. She was hilarious. She was engaging. I'm a person that grew up in the 90s, listening to 90s R&B. So Erykah Badu, for all of us black girls that grew up in the 90s listening to R&B, she was our hippie voodoo / Afro mother. That auntie that keeps it real and that lets you drink alcohol. That auntie that everyone wishes they had. She is that person. It just felt like she was being herself. You know, like an exaggeration or an extension of herself. She probably didn't even have to do that much research. Taraji P, you can always depend on her. She is everything. She's black girl magic, and this is coming from someone with a fair amount of black girl magic. The second thing I really liked about it was the meet cute. That typical scene in all rom-coms or comedy movies where the two main characters meet, where the love interests meet for the first time. It's usually super cute, very unrealistic, because that shit doesn't happen in real life. The bar scene where the Aldous Hodge character meets Taraji P. Henson for the first time, that shit was hot. And I felt it, boy, in many places. Aldous Hodge is probably one of the most gorgeous people I've ever seen in my life. And I hope to see more of him for more reasons than one. What I really did like was Taraji P and her assistant, played by Josh Brenner, did this thing where he was the only one that knew about her secret, so they could talk to each other and communicate with each other through their thoughts. And I love that. I really wish they had done that more often. But obviously, I don't know if it would work story-wise, because for the story to have worked, you can't have too many people knowing about her secret. Fourth thing I liked, hearing men's thoughts. And I know, granted, it's just an exaggeration, it's comedy. Not everyone goes around thinking like a dude, man. But it was really funny and really insightful. Just as a woman who's never been in a man's head, it was fascinating. And the last thing that I liked, and that's very important to me, was the fact that this was a mainstream rom-com movie with a black female lead. That is a big deal. It's very deep for me. Maybe a lot of people, you know, maybe especially white people watching this, not gonna think of that. But because you guys are used to seeing people that look like you taking lead roles and doing all the great stuff. And it just took me back to the time when I was a little girl, you know, being obsessed with movies, always watching television. Representation really is important. That's not just something of the day because everybody's talking about it, the bandwagon or whatever. It's just because I've lived it. I've been that little girl watching movies since I was young and being like, crap, nobody looks like me. I'm not going to be able to do that because people that look like me aren't able to do that. If they were, I would be seeing more of them. It makes me proud as a black woman to see that this is becoming more frequent, that you can have someone like a Taraji, people with your skin tone out there doing their thing, being the lead and not just being the best friend, not being the help or being, you know, the comedic relief or whatever it is. I'm just glad that this is finally a thing. It just gives not only me hope, people working in the industry, but there's some little girl in some village, probably here in Namibia, just like I was, that's like, hey, me, I want to do that. If a Taraji can do it, if a Mickey Ross can do it, hey, maybe I can do it. That shit is important. So argue with your mama about it if you want to. So overall, it wasn't the greatest movie, but I really did enjoy it because I had some genuine LOL moments. Let me know what you guys think of it. If you guys have seen it, let's start a debate. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself and each other.
Aww, thanks for watching, my babies.